Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and I have two easy interactive cards for you featuring the very cute layered mug and the Freezin season mug add-on. This mug, it has this adorable bear face that you can add to it, and then there's these holiday add-ons. I cannot get over it. It's got to be my favorite die set of this holiday season. To get started, we are going to make a background for our reindeer mug using this pine forest background stamp. I love these trees. They're sort of rounded and whimsical, and we're going to keep this really simple. I am going to heat emboss this entire stamp onto a piece of light green cardstock. It's not watercolor paper or anything fancy. It's just some pale green cardstock. I'm using a half a sheet. You could use something smaller, but this just was easiest for me. So I have stamped it in some watermark ink, and then I'm just using some white embossing powder, fine detail white embossing powder, and I'm putting it all over that stamped image. And then I will heat set that very carefully. I want to make sure that I don't have any patches where things aren't melted and set into the paper. I wanted to keep these cards pretty simple, right? I'm in holiday card mode. I need to make lots of cards. And so I'm using the Distress Mica Stain Wicked Elixir just to put a little darker green color and some shimmer on there. And then I smooshed some dark green dye ink onto a block, added a little water, and I've added that here and there on the trees just for some variation in color. Finally, I'm flicking on some white acrylic paint that I watered down a little bit. And that will finish off the background. I set that aside to dry for quite a while before moving on. I wanted a little border around my background. So this is an A2 panel, 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches of black cardstock. And I'm going to add that to my A2 card base. And then I trimmed the tree panel down to 1/8 of an inch smaller than A2. Okay, so that's going to be 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. But you could do 4 by 5 1/4 if you're more comfortable with those measurements instead. I'm going to wiggle this very carefully with some wet glue because that border is teeny tiny, but that's kind of how I wanted it, right? I didn't want the black to overtake everything. I just wanted a little extra definition around the edges, and then I will set that aside. For my mug, there are two base pieces, right? So there's the one with the handle, and then there's this other piece that's going to fit just inside of that on the top. And I wanted to add a little bit of definition. So I'm coming in with a light brown ink and I am blending just along the edges to create that illusion of roundness. You could skip the piece with the handle, but I think you can tell. And so I did both. What I did wrong here is that I put tape on the handle, but not the middle of it. And so you can see here, I have this little stripe in the middle of it. I just added some more ink to try to cover that up a little bit, and it's going to be just fine. I'm using the front piece of my mug to add my decorations to turn this into my reindeer. And these ears, it's so cute. And they fit just perfectly on here. And then I cut my nose out of some red glitter cardstock because we're going full Rudolph. I think this is the first Rudolph card I've made this season. And that, I needed to fix that, right? And then it's really quick and easy to add the rest of the pieces. I love that about these mugs. So here's the thing. There's the Beary cute mug where you can make a bear, but then there's also a cat and dog add-on. There's a Halloween add-on. There's this sort of wintry, Christmassy holiday add-on, and they're really, really quick. To make this interactive, I have this white piece of cardstock that is 1 7/8 of an inch by 3 1/4 inches. And I am going to just tuck that behind my reindeer panel so it's sticking up just a little bit from the top, and then I will trace around it. I've got some 1/8 inch sticky foam strips, and I just used a light brown marker so that it will blend in a little better with my craft cardstock. And I'm going to remove the release paper and I'm going to pull it off the backing. So there's just sticky foam here, and I am going to curve that around the edge of my mug. Now, when I was tracing my line, I needed to make sure there was enough room for my foam strip. But aside from that, this is pretty forgiving. It's also worth noting this is not really dimensional foam. Any foam would work here. Technically, you could do it without the foam, but it's a really tight squeeze. I just want enough lift that when I go to slide my little white cardstock panel in there, it will slide in and out easily. Then I will add a little bit of glue for wiggle room, and I will add that onto my mug. And you can see that white cardstock slides in there beautifully. I'm going to leave it in there, and I am going to use a pencil to just trace a line right along the top edge of the mug. That's where I'm going to glue on the whipped cream, but I want to stamp a message. This is from the Insider Greetings, another favorite of mine from this season. And this one says, "Not even Santa could bring a better friend." And I just think that that is so sweet for a holiday card and something unexpected. I'm going to stamp that in black ink, sort of towards the top, but definitely underneath the pencil line. This leaves me just a little room to write a personal message there too, if I decide I would like to. Then it's time to add the whipped cream. So I'm going to slide this inside my mug, and I'm going to be really careful as I add my glue just towards the top. Then the whipped cream butts right up against that dark brown piece of cardstock. Then I'm going to add a second whipped cream die cut to the back. This does two things. One, it makes it look a little more finished, but it also adds strength to this whipped cream piece, since that's what we're pulling on as we're taking this out of the mug and putting it back in there. And so that extra stability really helps. I'm going to figure out my greeting before I go adding my mug to my card base. And I am using this North Pole Gnomes. I love this stamp set. This has a lot of images that are very similar to what was in the Stamptember set. So if you missed out on that, definitely check this one out. It's so stinking cute. I'm just using the Merry Christmas today. And what I love is that there is a die for the greeting, and it's going to fussy cut that for me, and it's going to be perfect and really easy. So I stamped that with embossing ink, and now I'm heat setting some white embossing powder onto black cardstock. To remove that extra anti-static powder, I'm just using a soft white eraser. I find that this works really well, especially on my dark cardstocks. And then I will use the die to cut that out, and it is ready to go. I'm just kind of checking the placement of where I think I want my greeting. And once I'm confident about that, I will glue down my mug. I am adding glue only to the craft cardstock of the mug. I do not want to glue down the whipped cream, right? Since we're going to be pulling that in and out. And I will press down carefully on my mug to add it to my card, because there is just that little bit of lift from the foam tape. Then I'm going to add my greeting, just kind of overlapping the mug a little bit down towards the bottom left. And that finishes up our card. And our little secret message pulls out very easily. I'll just leave a note inside the card letting the recipient know to do so. Though most of my family is like searching the card to figure out what the interactive element is. For card number 2, we're going to make a slightly simpler background. So I just have a piece of teal cardstock, and I'm going around the edges with a slightly darker teal ink. I don't need to do anything fancy. We're going to put the most adorable penguin mug on here. And then I am going to use a little bit of white shimmery watercolor on here just to flick on a little extra interest, add a little bit of sparkle. I have cut that base mug out with some black cardstock, and I'm putting the top piece on and using a pencil to trace right along the line where they meet. This die is supposed to cut out like a little tiny oval of coffee or tea or whatever you're going to put in there, but we're going to use it to create a hole in the mug. And it's going to be a place where we can slide in a gift card. It is the perfect size for a gift card. But the mug isn't quite big enough to hide an entire gift card. So we're going to put a hole in the mug. Then I'm going to put my mug on my background where I think I want it to go, and I will trace that same oval. Then I'm going to take the exact same die, tape it over what I traced, and cut a hole into the background. So we will hide the gift card through the hole in the mug and then into the background. Our mug this time is going to be a penguin, and we can start building him pretty quickly here. I'm going to add the top piece to the mug, and then I'm going to glue my mug onto my background. There's no foam tape behind the mug this time. So I'm making sure to add just a little bit of glue on that top little rim, and then all over the rest of the mug as well. I am lining up the hole in the mug with the hole in my background, and then I will start putting my penguin together. I'm just adding glue to the body of the penguin. I love penguins for the holidays. Like, this card carries not only through Christmas if you want it to be Christmas or holiday, but just into winter in general. Like, they're so cute. I especially love the rosy cheeks on this one. Once we add those pieces, we can work on the hidden gift card. So I have a hotel key that I use when I'm working on gift card cards, and I'm gonna slide that in and kind of figure out how far down it needs to go to make sure you can't see it behind my whipped cream. Then I will flip my card base over and I will just trace around it. And that becomes a guide for knowing where I can put my foam tape. I'm gonna put it pretty much everywhere except inside that little rectangle. This is 1mm foam tape. I mean, you can use whatever depth you want, but you don't need a lot of space. Gift cards are not very thick. And you can see here, I'm going right around that pencil line, but not overlapping it. I'm bringing the insider sentiments again because I can't get over this set. I think it's so thoughtful. Also, it's massive. It has so many sentiments in it. And this one says, hope your holiday season is fun, festive, and full of sparkle. And I think that fits really nicely with our goofy little penguin. It's both sweet and sort of playful at the same time. But this set also has, have yourself a merry little Christmas. This Christmas, may your family be functional and all your batteries be included. Season's greetings with many good wishes for Christmas and the coming year. It's just an amazing mix of sweet and funny, and I've been using them on all of my holiday cards this year. So I removed my release paper and then I just added a little wet glue for wiggle time, and then I will add this to my card base. It is upside down in my MISTI, and I will use that corner to line everything up and make sure that I get it in there just right. To add my whipped cream to my gift card, I have added some double-sided adhesive to my gift card, though certainly you could add it to the whipped cream. It doesn't really matter either way. It'll come off the gift card just fine. And then I've doubled up my whipped cream die cuts again, just because I want it to be a little sturdier for when we're pulling that in and out of the card. You could also add the word pull onto the whipped cream using the Paper Crafting Magic stamp set, but in both of these cards, I'm using a specialty cardstock that would have made it hard to stamp that. But something to think about. Then I am bringing in the Simply Sentimental Merry die set and the coordinating stamp set. I love this new scripty font. Like, it is so beautiful. And especially with the everything. I love the phrase Merry Everything anyway, but these two nestle together perfectly. So I am adding my Merry onto a black die cut of the shadow layer. And I just add little dots of glue. You don't need glue everywhere, but I'm focusing on the pieces that hang out in open space. So the beginning of the Merry, the bottom tips of the M, the end of the Y, right? And then in between, here and there. And then I'll use my little pokey tool to remove any glue that sort of oozes out, but I didn't have much. Then I am going to stamp the word everything in some clear sticky ink onto my black cardstock. And I will use some fine detail white embossing powder and heat set that. I really like the black and white with the penguin. You may have seen earlier I had it stamped in black on white cardstock and it just didn't stand out enough. So I was really happy with this combo once I got the heat embossing done. I have trimmed out the everything into just a little strip sentiment, and then I will add the Merry sort of overlapping a little bit onto my penguin. And then that everything nestles underneath it and just tucks right against the Y. I don't know what it is. I'm sort of a font nerd. And the design of that makes me very, very happy. So that finishes a really quick and easy gift card holder. I love gift cards for the holidays. When I give them, for me, it's a promise to spend time together. And for my family, that's maybe the best gift you can give. I hope that this is helpful for you and that you'll give this a try. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.